Every time you look at something, your eyes blink. They blink about 15 to 20 times per minute, but they don't do it just randomly. Blinking is actually a very complex action. It's involuntary, meaning you don't consciously control it, yet it's one of the most important things your eyes do. You see, every time you blink, your eyes spread a thin tear film across the cornea, the clear front part of your eye that helps you focus light onto your retina in the back. This tear film is made up of 3 layers. The outermost layer is the oily lipid layer, which on top of protecting the eye from drying out, also prevents debris like dust and other particulates from getting into the eye. Underneath the lipid layer is the watery aqueous layer, which moistens and nourishes the eye and flushes away any unwanted stuff that gets through the lipid layer. And finally, there's the mucin layer, which is closest to the eye, and it spreads the tear film evenly across the cornea. All 3 layers are important, and they work together to keep your eye healthy and to help you see clearly. But the thing is, the tear film is extremely fragile, and without blinking, it begins to break up almost immediately after you stop blinking. First, the lipid layer starts to evaporate within seconds, which disrupts the watery layer and the balance between the two, causing the cornea to dry out. Dry spots on the cornea can lead to irritation and inflammation known as dry eye syndrome. Within a few minutes of not blinking, the cornea becomes very dry, and the epithelium, the outermost layer of the cornea, starts to degenerate. Normally, the epithelium renews itself quickly, but without blinking, cells start to die, and the cornea becomes rough. This makes it difficult for light to pass through, blurring your vision. It also makes it easier for microscopic organisms and debris to stick to the cornea, increasing the risk of infection. And then the watery layer starts to disappear too. Within about 5 minutes, the cornea loses most of its moisture, causing those little burnt, gritty sensations you feel. That's because the corneal nerves are being activated. The cornea has a lot of nerve endings, and they send signals to the brain whenever anything touches them or irritates them, whether that's from a foreign object or from the dry, cracked cornea. But it doesn't stop there. Without blinking, the cornea is deprived of oxygen. Normally, tears carry oxygen to the cornea. When you blink, you spread a fresh coat of tears across the cornea, which contain dissolved oxygen from the air. But without blinking, the cornea dries out so quickly that it can't get enough oxygen. This causes something called corneal hypoxia, where the cornea swells up with fluid because of all the oxygen deprivation. Swollen cornea means blurry vision. In a matter of hours, the cornea might develop ulcers, open sores caused by bacteria or fungus penetrating the damaged tissue. This happens when the cornea dries out so much that harmful microbes can enter and infect the cornea. The body's inflammatory response kicks in to fight off the infection, sending white blood cells and other immune components to the site. But unfortunately, these immune cells can also damage healthy tissue. Now, it's not just the cornea that suffers. Blinking also helps maintain the function of the meibomian glands in your eyelids. These glands secrete the oily substance that helps prevent tears from evaporating too quickly. When you blink, you apply pressure to these glands, which releases their contents onto the tear film, keeping everything balanced. But without blinking, these glands can become clogged, worsening dry eye conditions and making the tear film even more unstable. At night, blinking continues subconsciously as you sleep. Your eyelids close, protecting your eyes and keeping them moist. Forcing your eyes open while you're supposed to be sleeping would severely damage your cornea. So you might think it's kind of silly that we spend so much time blinking, but it's an essential part of keeping our eyes healthy and seeing clearly. In fact, our whole visual system depends on blinking. All of the muscles and nerves involved in blinking are controlled by the brain. Messages go from the brain to the muscles around the eye, telling them how, when, and how long to blink. And if you blink too much or too little, it can throw off your whole visual system. The next time you're watching TV or sitting at the computer, pay attention to how often you blink. Now, if you blinked a couple of times while reading this, don't worry. You're probably fine. But if you've gone an entire day without blinking more than a handful of times, you should definitely go see an eye doctor, Because although blinking might seem like a simple reflex, it's really a carefully coordinated physiological process that keeps the ocular surface moist, oxygenated, and protected from infection. Without blinking, our eyes would literally fall apart. So the next time you blink, take a moment to appreciate this amazing process happening right under your eyelids.